Hello everybody! With Monster Hunter Stories 3 just on the horizon, I think we all have the same question. Will my favorite monster be a Monstie in the game? And that's a valid question. Between monsters allegedly being cut from their roster, and the common practice of adding monsters as enemies, but not as Monsties, no Capcom, I will not let this go, and it will be a theme throughout the video. I'll be listing my top 5 monsters I want as Monsties in Monster Hunter Stories 3. I'll also be giving each monster a cope rating. The lower the cope rating, the higher the likelihood I feel Capcom would add them to the game. With that being said, let's get to the list. Clack clack motherfuckers, it's Agnaktor. Agnaktor is mainly on the list for the aforementioned sin of Capcom adding monsters as enemies and not Monsties. Available to be killed, but not ridden in both Monster Hunter Stories 1 and 2, this red-hot Leviathan has always been an interesting monster in my book. In terms of game mechanics, I could see it being a speed or technical Monstie due to its, well, speed in combat and eccentric way of attacking the hunter in the mainline games. For riding actions, I'd expect Roar, Melee Attack, Breath, and Ground Dive. Agnaktor's heating and cooling armor mechanic could be used for skills and visuals. For example, there could be a skill where Agnaktor dives into the ground and launches itself at the enemy, dealing damage and giving him a fire attack buff. Agnaktor's default look would be his hardened armor state, but when buffed with an attack boost or fire attack boost, he could visually change to reflect his soft armor state. And of course, with one of the big themes of Monster Hunter Stories 3 being habitat restoration, a mutation for Agnaktor would be Glacial Agnaktor, a much needed ice element Monstie if the rosters from the previous games hold true here. And here's where we get to the bad news. Unfortunately, I see Capcom adding Lavazioth over Agnaktor to pad out the Piscine Wyverns, since it's a smaller egg group than the Leviathans. That, coupled with the fact that Agnaktor has had multiple chances to be a Monstie and Capcom doesn't do it, Agnaktor is getting a 6 out of 10 on my cope rating. It's possible, but I don't see it happening. Alright, I'll admit it. I'm cheating a bit here. Number 4 and 3 are Celtis and Celtis Queen. And I just want to say this straight up, my cope rating for these two is a 9 out of 10. These two are the only mainline large monster Neopterans. And their whole gimmick is combining together to attack you. Something they can't really do when you can only have one Monstie at a time. The highest copium for this entire video would be Capcom making them Temnocerans just for the Stories games, and I really don't see that happening. But with Celtis and Celtis Queen being fan favorites, we'll ignore the sobering reality for just a moment. For Celtis, I see it as a speed type, and Celtis Queen as a power type. I think that seems pretty obvious. In Stories 2, both of their default attack types were technical, but that's boring. Also, Celtis' attack type is speed when enraged, and Celtis Queen's attack type is power when combined. And since they can't do that, I think it's fair to give it to them. For party riding actions, Celtis would have Fly, Wall Climb, Jump, Roar, Melee Attack, and Breath, while Celtis Queen would have Jump, Wall Climb, Roar, Melee Attack, and Ground Dive. The Banabra in the Stories games like to use this defense lowering skill with Acid, and I can see that being usable by Celtis. And I feel it goes without saying, but Celtis Queen's kinship attack should bring a Celtis in to reference their combining. Mutations for habitat restoration would be Desert Celtis and Desert Celtis Queen. While I would absolutely love to have them as Monsties, again, my cope rating is a 9 out of 10. Anyone who knows me knew Gore Magala would be on this list. But the Black Eclipse Wyvern is mostly known for the Frenzy virus, no? How would that work with a rider on its back? The same way every Malzeno Monstie ends up with the Curio. The same way mass-releasing Namiel doesn't destroy the ecosystem. We handwave it. Now that's not something I like to do, but it's just something you have to accept when it comes to Elder Dragons as Monsties. That doesn't mean we can't use the Frenzy to our advantage in battle, though. I'm struggling to commit to one attacking type for Gore, but I do feel Power would fit the most. For party riding actions, it would be Fly, Wall Climb, Jump, Roar, Melee Attack, and Breath. As I alluded to before, Gore could possibly use the Frenzy for high risk, high reward gameplay. Something like a Frenzy skill that gives attack up medium, but also gives defense down medium. Do you dare to lower a monster's defense in hopes of doing more damage, while using head-to-head to limit the damage the monster does to you? What if the monster uses an AoE that you can't head-to-head? Is it worth the risk? Decisions. For your allies, you could only have positive effects for the Frenzy. Having been around your Monstie for so long, your party would have naturally gained resistance to overcome the Frenzy. Or, if that's too strong, you could do the same high-risk, high-reward style buffs for allies too. And it goes without saying, for habitat restoration, we could have Shigaru Magala and Chaotic Gore Magala. My cope rating for Gore Magala is a surprising 5 out of 10. With its status as a fan favorite and the hand waviness of Elder Dragons, I think Gore has a decent enough chance to get through. Honorable mentions. I'll keep this section short. Why are these 3 honorable mentions? It's because they're technically already in the game. Deviljho and Lagiacrus have already been confirmed as Monsties, so I only need to hope that Savage Joe and Abyssal Lagi are unlocked with habitat restoration. As for Nibblesnarf, it's already been confirmed as a monster, but not a Monstie yet. But as we know by now, being a monster enemy does not equate to being a Monstie. It shouldn't have to be that way, but it's the truth. Cope rating for Savage Deviljho is 3 out of 10. With Deviljho not being locked to the post-game anymore, there's some free space to make him available down the line. My cope rating for Abyssal Lagiacrus is 8 out of 10. Capcom has basically ignored Abyssal since its introduction in favor of Base and Ivory Lagiacrus, who are both in the game already. I'd love to see Abyssal in a Stories game, but it seems unlikely. For Nibblesnarf, the cope rating is 1 out of 10. It's right there, Capcom. Just do it. Please. And my number 1 most wanted Monstie is... My most wanted Monstie is... Number 1... Okay, that's better. Number 1 is... Giganox. Number 1 is Giganox. Weird pick, right? But not for me. I've been praying we got Giganox in something for so many years now. It's such a cool monster, and it's a shame to see Capcom seems to favor the phallic fiend Kezu to an unholy degree. For attack type, I feel technical would work best. I feel it should be a status plus leeching kind of Monstie. Give it an attack like Dragon Eater that deals damage and heals Giganox, and you can even name it something like Poison Eater. You could also give it something like the Hunting Horn skill Bloodsuck from Monster Hunter Stories 2, giving it an HP sap to itself or allies. Giganox party riding actions would be Wall Climb, Jump, Roar, Melee Attack, and Breath. Visually, Giganox's skin could turn dark when affected by a buff. Baleful Giganox could be used as its mutation in habitat restoration. And though I don't like to do this, I'd make Baleful Giganox's attack type be Power, to avoid overlap with Kez. Where were we? Oh, right. The Gigi are a big part of Giganox as well. As a monster, it could summon the Gigi to aid it in battle, and as a Monstie, the Gigi should be used in its kinship attack. Despite being my most wanted Monstie, I have to be real here. Giganox's cope rating is a 9 out of 10. We haven't seen Giganox since Monster Hunter 3U, not even being given a spotlight to shine and double cross. Capcom seems to want to forget about this monster entirely, but I refuse to. One day you'll see the light of day again, my son. One day. And that's my top 5 most wanted Monsties in Monster Hunter Stories 3. Did you like my ideas? Was there a little too much copium? What are your top 5 most wanted Monsties? Let me know in the comments, and always remember to...